A man is alone in an airport lounge. A beautiful woman walks in and sits down at the table next to him. He decides, because she's wearing a uniform, she's probably an off-duty stewardess. So he decides to have a go at picking her up by identifying the airline she flies for, thereby impressing her greatly. He leans across to her and says the British Airways motto, "To fly, to serve." The woman looks at him blankly. He sits back and thinks up another line. He leans forward again and delivers the Air France motto, "Winning the hearts of the world." Again, she just stares at him with a slightly puzzled look on her face. Undeterred, he tries again, this time saying the Malaysian Airlines motto, "Going beyond expectations." The woman looks at him sternly and says, "What the fuck do you want?" "Aha," he says, "Ryanair." A man was deployed in the army and was sent to serve his country abroad. He had just started dating his girlfriend 3 months ago and was really worried about what the long distance will do for their relationship. For the first 2 months, everything is fine. He receives love letters from her once a week, and it looks like they will manage being apart. But after he had been away for 6 months, he received the following letter from his girlfriend. "Dear John, I'm sorry to say, but I have been secretly dating one guy back at home, and I even had a romance with 2 other men a couple of weeks ago. I just cannot handle the distance, and I think we should break up. Can you please send me back the picture I gave you before you left?" The man was heartbroken and couldn't understand how this was possible. At first, he was planning not to send the picture back to her. After all, it was his only way of seeing an undressed woman while being there. However, after a couple of days, he realized that he didn't want to see her face anymore, and went over to his friends and said, "Can you all please give me any photo you have of any women?" He was surprised to get about 50 photos. Some were with clothes and some without. He now started writing the following letter to his ex-girlfriend, "Mary, I am sending back the photo as you requested. However, I cannot remember which one of these you are. So please remove your photo and send the rest back." Leroy was a worker at a small, quaint pharmacy nestled in the heart of Arkansas, but his skills as a salesman left much to be desired. Time and time again, despite his best efforts, he just couldn't seem to locate the specific item the customer needed, leading to frustration and lost sales. Arnold, the owner of the pharmacy, had grown increasingly frustrated with Leroy's inability to make a sale, as it was directly impacting his business. He decided to give Leroy an ultimatum, hoping to motivate him to improve his performance. He sternly warned Leroy that if he missed just one more sale due to his incompetence, he would be out of a job. As luck, or perhaps misfortune, would have it, a man walked into the pharmacy shortly thereafter, coughing and hacking away, clearly suffering from a persistent cough. He approached Leroy, his face flushed and his voice raspy, and asked for their best cough syrup to relieve his uncomfortable symptoms. Leroy, acutely aware of Arnold's warning and desperate to make the sale and keep his job, searched high and low for the cough syrup. He checked every shelf, every aisle, but just couldn't seem to locate it. Panic started to set in as he remembered Arnold's stern words. In a moment of desperation and poor judgment, Leroy grabbed a box of laxatives off the shelf, figuring it was better to sell something than nothing. He sold it to the man, instructing him to take the entire box at once, hoping for a quick and miraculous cure. The customer, trusting Leroy's recommendation as a pharmacy employee, complied and then made his way outside, leaning against a post for support, perhaps already feeling the effects of the unusual remedy. Arnold, who had been observing the entire exchange from the back of the pharmacy, his face a mask of disbelief and anger, confronted Leroy and demanded to know what in the world had just happened. Leroy, trying to justify his actions and avoid the inevitable consequences, explained, "Well, The man came in looking for something to help with his cough, but I couldn't find the cough syrup, so I gave him laxatives instead and told him to take the whole box in one go. Arnold's face turned beet red with fury as he exploded, "You did what? Laxatives are not going to cure a cough. They address a completely different issue." But Leroy, with a strange sense of misplaced confidence, replied, "I think you'll find they will. Just take a look at him. He's too afraid to cough."